What if 90% of people who say no today could still see your brand every single day? Welcome to the perpetual waiting room, the DFY funnel's secret sauce that keeps your primary business front and center until they're ready to join.
All right, let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about a really powerful idea for pretty much any business out there. What do you do with people who are interested but just aren't ready to buy yet? This whole thing is about turning that not yet into a heck yes right now.
I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? You have this amazing call, the energy's through the roof, the person on the other end seems totally sold, and then nothing. Radio silence. It is one of the most maddening parts of trying to grow a business. You're just left wondering, where did they go?
Well, a lot of the time, they fall into what we can call the follow-up abyss. Yeah, it's that dark, lonely place where all that initial excitement and all those promising conversations just vanish.
You know the moment I'm talking about. It's when a prospect says something like, "This is great, I just need to think about it," or, "Now's not quite the right time." And if you don't have a solid system in place to bridge that gap, you can literally feel that connection fizzle out until, poof, it's gone.
And this slide really breaks down why that happens. A lot of the time, we make one of two mistakes. We either come on way too strong and scare them off, or we're so passive that they completely forget we even exist. But honestly, that third point is the real killer. We just fail to give them a good reason to stick around.
And this isn't a small problem. Check this out. A staggering 90% of people are not going to say yes on the first, second, or even third time you talk to them. Let that sink in for a second. If your entire game plan is built for an immediate yes, you are actively choosing to ignore 9 out of 10 of your potential customers.
So what's the fix? How do we solve for this? Well, you build a system specifically for that 90%. And that, my friends, brings us to the core idea we're talking about today, the waiting room concept. Now, let's be super clear. A waiting room is not just another name for bugging people more often. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's all about creating a valuable, branded space where you can respectfully keep that conversation going, staying at the top of their mind until they decide they're ready to move forward. Okay, theory is great, but how does this thing actually work in the real world? This whole strategy is powered by what you can think of as a two-part engine. Let's pop the hood and look at the mechanics. So this engine has two main jobs that work together perfectly. On one side, it's constantly delivering daily value. Think of an automated email series that educates and builds trust. And on the other side, it provides this always-on, super easy way for them to get back to your main offer. So whenever they feel that spark of curiosity, the door is always wide open. Let's look a little closer at that daily engagement piece because it's so important. The flow is really simple but incredibly powerful. First, the prospect gets something genuinely valuable from you every single day. This isn't a sales pitch, it's just subtly reinforcing who you are and what you're about. And, critically, it always has a link, letting them jump back to your offer whenever they want, on their own terms. They are in complete control.
And that link is everything. You got to think of it as an always-on portal. It's not about you chasing them down. It's about giving them a permanent, on-demand VIP pass back to your business, just waiting for them to use it the second their situation changes or their interest gets sparked again.
So why does this patient, long-game approach work so well? Well, it all boils down to the psychology of how people actually make decisions. It's almost never just a single instant event. And the data backs this up, big time. It takes on average somewhere between 5 and 12 different points of contact or touches before someone is actually ready to buy. Let me say that again, 5 to 12. Now just try to imagine managing that manually for every single lead you have. It's impossible, but a waiting room, it automates that whole process for you. And the goal of all these little contacts isn't to annoy them, it's 3 things. First, you're building familiarity. They start to recognize you. Then, by consistently showing up with value, you establish trust. You become a reliable resource. And maybe most importantly, you make sure you are right there, top of mind, for that magic moment when their timing and your solution finally click into place.
All right, let's talk about the payoff. What's the ultimate advantage of doing all this? It really comes down to a fundamental shift in how you even think about your leads. This right here, this is what it's all about. It's a system that takes that dormant interest, that maybe someday, and turns it into active participation. You're not just stopping leads from falling through the cracks, you're actively cultivating them into engaged, excited prospects over time. And you can see that transformation right here on this chart.
A cold lead comes into your world with pretty low trust and maybe not a lot of perceived value, but after spending time in the waiting room, they are a totally different asset. When they finally raise their hand, they're informed, they trust you, and they are ready to have a real conversation.
So what does all this add up to? The outcomes are pretty clear. You get warmer, more informed prospects, which of course leads to way higher conversion rates. Your main business is always just one click away, and the marketing work you today keeps paying you back for weeks, even months down the road.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Take a hard look at your own process. Is it only designed to catch that tiny handful of people who are ready to go right now? Or have you built a smart, respectful system to nurture that much larger group of people whose answer for now is simply not yet?